Is it possible to beat a Pokemon Nuzlocke using only Pokemon that start with the letter C? Yes, but I thought it'd be fun to try something more challenging than my previous runs. I'm playing on FireRed version, where there are only 6 Pokemon I can catch in the entire game. Some of them are strong Pokemon, who can hold their own against the Elite Four. For others, that's not quite the case. The rest, well, you'll just have to see. I'll be playing with Hardcore Nuzlocke rules, which means I can only catch the first Pokemon on each route. If a Pokemon faints, it must be released. I can't overlevel above the next gym leader's highest level. I can't use items in battle, and I must play on set mode. For the special rules, I can only catch a Pokemon that species name begins with the letter C, or it evolves into a Pokemon that begins with C. I can reroll my encounter until I get a unique C Pokemon. This is a Hardcore Nuzlocke using only C Pokemon. I start the game by naming myself C, and selecting my only option, Charmander. I give him the name Crispy. If you've ever played a Gen 1 game, you know that picking Charmander as your starter makes the early game extremely difficult. This is because the first 2 gym leaders are Brock and Misty. Brock uses Rock-type Pokemon, and Misty uses Water-type Pokemon. Both of these types resist and are super effective against Charmander's Fire-type. Normally, you'd have the opportunity to catch counters like Mankey or Paris. I don't have that luxury. So, in order to beat the early game, I need to come up with solutions to beat these puzzles that I've created for myself. To understand what we're dealing with, let's take a look at Brock's Pokemon. Brock has a Geodude and an Onix. Both are Rock Ground type, which resist fire moves. Geodude only knows Tackle and Defense Curl, so it isn't a huge threat to Charmander. The problem is Onix and Rock Tomb, which does a lot of damage to Charmander. Another important thing to understand is Charmander's moveset. At level 13, just before the level cap, Charmander learns Metal Claw, a move that is super effective against rock Pokemon. Metal Claw feels kinda random for Charmander to learn. It's almost like Game Freak said, "Hey, we know Brock's gonna be hard, why don't you have some help?" I'll certainly take it though, because without Metal Claw, this would be impossible. The last piece of important background information for this puzzle deals with EVs and IVs. Simply put, IVs are the stats a Pokemon is born with, and EVs are the stats a Pokemon gets as it grows up. These 2 factors, plus a Pokemon's inherent nature, will be critical to beating Brock. Crispy has a quiet nature, which increases special attack and decreases speed. Crispy's IVs look like this. 31 is the best a stat can be, and 0 is the worst. These IVs are mediocre, with awful attack and special attack. Crispy is not destined for greatness. Since Crispy will be using the physical attack Metal Claw against Brock, I decide to train him to give him attack EVs. I do this by killing a lot of wild Mankeys. After barely scraping by the rival fight, I go to Viridian Forest and catch a Caterpie, who I name Crunchy. I can't evolve Crunchy into Metapod or Butterfree, so against Brock, he's not a huge help. I level Crunchy up, and it's time to take on Brock. I don't have any access to helpful items or setup moves, so this is going to be attack with Metal Claw and see what happens. Metal Claw has a 10% chance to raise my attack, which, if it happens, is astronomically good. It doesn't happen on any of the 3 attacks against Geodude, but Onix comes out and I have pretty good HP. I also make sure to give Crispy enough experience so he levels up on Geodude. Onix starts by going for not Rock Tomb, so I actually have a shot. If he keeps using Tackle and Bind, I can chip down his health. I get Onix's health down, so 1 more hit will KO. Unfortunately, Onix sees a kill with Rock Tomb and kills Crispy. I send out Crunchy, and somehow Onix doesn't see a kill with Rock Tomb. Crunchy is a maniac and can actually knock out Onix to win the first badge. That's super fun and exciting, but the run is dead without Crispy, so I have to restart. In order to keep my sanity through this process, I'm going to be doing two things. The first thing is resetting if I get a Charmander with bad IVs and nature. You can see that this is attempt 3, since I reset on a bad Charmander for attempt 2. You may see the attempts jump up, but you didn't miss anything. I just reset on Charmanders I didn't like. I'm looking for Charmanders that have good attack and defense statistics. Crispy number 3 has a brave nature, which increases attack and decreases speed. Its IVs are fine, so I press on. The other thing that I'm going to do so I don't lose my mind is use rare candies to grind up Crunchy. It doesn't really matter what Crunchy's stats are, so EV training isn't important. Normally, I would never reset for nature or use rare candies, but I don't want to spend hundreds of hours grinding for fights that I know I'm going to lose. For attempt 3 Brock, I don't get an attack boost, but I kill Geodude with a decent amount of HP left. Onix goes for a Rock Tomb right away, so I'm dead in one more hit. Rock Tomb also lowers my speed, so now I'm slower than Onix. By switching into Crunchy and eventually sacking her due to Onix Rock Tombs, I'm able to at least get one more move off with Crispy. Crispy doesn't crit, but does get an attack boost just in time to be killed by Rock Tomb. Attempt 7 has a similar ending, as Crunchy and Crispy both go down to Rock Tomb. All of these attempts have Charmanders with plus attack natures, but attempt number 8 and attempt number 11 end in the same fashion. This strategy clearly isn't working. So, on attempt 19, that's right, attempt 19, I decide to keep a Charmander with a plus defense nature. Attempt 19 Crispy also has awesome IVs. It's also this attempt that I realized that the second rival fight is completely optional, and that the floor pattern in Brock's gym is just optional, so I don't have to fight the trainer. This is important because instead of getting a lot of experience from those fights, I can do this, which is getting a ton of defense EVs before the gym. This time against Brock, I didn't get an attack boost against Geodude, but I did get it on my first Metal Claw against Onix. Thanks to my high defense, Onix doesn't see a kill and goes for bind. If the AI doesn't see a kill, it'll use a random move. That's how you can bait tackle and bind with a high defense. I'm able to switch in Crunchy and sack it, and then bring in a faster Crispy to win the fight. A Charmander with a really high defense is the solution to defeating Brock. And my prize for solving the first puzzle is getting my first evolution into Charmeleon. Misty has a Staryu and a Starmie who both know Water Pulse. For Crispy to win this battle alone, I'd need a pretty big miracle. Luckily, to get to Cerulean City, I need to pass through Mount Moon, where I can catch a Clefairy. Continuing the food adjective names, I name her Creamy. Don't be weird about it. Clefairy seems like the key to beating Misty, so I train her up to the level cap. Clefairy has a naughty nature, which increases attack. She also only knows the physical attacking move Pound, so I train her specifically on attack EVs. But she also knows some interesting non-attacking moves. Time to see how this fight plays out. Just to try things out, I start with an Encore, thinking Staryu might tackle or harden. Unfortunately, it goes for Water Pulse, so now it's locked into that move. I try to put Staryu to sleep, which misses. The second time is successful though. With my health so low, the only chance I have at winning is if Staryu misses Water Pulses. So, to raise my evasiveness, I use Minimize a few times. Eventually, Staryu wakes up and hits a Water Pulse anyway. Crispy is also doomed here, and gets hit with one crit Water Pulse to lose the fight. But you learn something with every loss. On attempt 31, I get a plus defense Charmander who is so good that I don't even need to sack Crunchy against Brock. Also on this attempt, I decide to use a Moonstone to evolve Clefairy into Clefable. In a perfect world, I would delay this evolution until level 37 so that Clefairy can learn Moonlight. But this isn't a perfect world, it's a Hardcore Nuzlocke, where pain is waiting around every single corner. On this attempt, I overleveled Crispy before Misty. Then, Creamy missed 4 straight sings before finally putting Staryu to sleep. While Staryu was asleep, I decided to try the strategy of using 6 minimizes to be as evasive as possible. Unfortunately, by that point, it was too little too late. On attempt 36, I realized that these two dudes weren't just having a weird staring contest. They're move tutors, and they teach the moves Mega Punch and Mega Kick. Clefable can learn both of these, and now, instead of a base 40 attack, she can learn base 80 and base 120 attacks. Both Mega Punch and Mega Kick can miss, but Mega Kick is a better risk to take. So, I go for it, and Clefable knocks out Staryu in one hit. Who would have thought a 120 base power with stab bonus would be so game-changing? Mega Kick gets Starmie down to about a quarter health. Both Mega Kick and Mega Punch will likely kill Starmie here, so I go for the one with better accuracy. And it works! Clefable with Mega Punch and Mega Kick is the solution to beating Misty. The early game puzzles are now solved. There are a few things that we're required to do before the third gym fight. This includes beating my rival, who has an Abra that only knows Teleport. The decision to do that is so perfectly stupid. I love Pokemon so much. After that, there are 9 more required fights before you get to Vermilion City. This is a big problem because the level cap for Lieutenant Surge is only 3 levels higher than it was for Misty. By the time I got to the last of those 9 required fights, which is another rival battle for some reason, I had over-leveled my team above the level cap. So that was a reset, and I had to figure out a strategy to not over-level my team before Lieutenant Surge. Thanks to a surprise puzzle, I have some more stuff to figure out. On attempt 37, I beat Brock, but I had to sack Crunchy to do so. Also knowing that I didn't need Crispy against Misty, I decided to bring him at level 19 so he could gain more experience after the fight. But it still wasn't enough. My entire team still over-leveled on the last rival fight. The solution to this puzzle isn't underleveling or any weird overworld tricks. The solution to this puzzle is freaking Caterpie. By using Caterpie as an experience dump, I can make sure that Charmeleon and Clefable don't overlevel before Lieutenant Surge. But in order to make sure that I keep Crunchy alive, I need my Charmander to be so good that I don't have to sack against Brock. Finally, on attempt 65, I get a Lax Charmander with pretty good IVs. Against Brock, Onix misses a Rock Tomb and I get an attack boost. This allows me to win the fight without sacrificing Crunchy. There really is no consistent strategy against Brock, but sometimes you just have to put yourself in a position to be lucky. My strategy for Misty is pretty consistent, as Clefable takes out both of her Pokemon by herself. Thanks to Crunchy taking out many trainers on the Nugget Bridge, none of my team overlevels from the last rival fight. I can even take on the electric gym trainers without having to worry about the experience. Alright, we're done with this stuff, right? Right? Lit Surge shouldn't be too much of a problem for me. Voltorb comes out first, and after taking a shockwave, Clefable Mega Kicks it into oblivion. Same thing happens to Pikachu. The contact move procs SpAtk, but I had a Cherry Berry ready for that. Last is Raichu, who probably knows that accuracy would be my downfall, but it doesn't happen this time. That's 3 badges. The next stretch of the game is pretty long, including going through the rock tunnel and fighting a million trainers. I make it to Lavender Town, where I can catch something in the Pokemon Tower. However, to do so, I need to fight my rival again. My Pokemon aren't strong enough to take him on yet, so I decide to delay this encounter. I move on to Celadon City. The department store is here, where I can buy a Water Stone. This is a secret surprise item that I'll need for later. But first, it's time to torch Erica, the 4th gym leader. I start with an Ember to get Victory Bell to about half health. Victory Bell goes for a Stun Spore, which is fine since I have a Lumberry. 1 more Ember takes Victory Bell out. Next is Tangela, who Crispy takes out with 1 Ember. Last is Vileplume, who Crispy can kill with 3 Embers. Stun Spore leaves me paralyzed and slower, and Vileplume hits a critical hit Acid. Erica uses a Hyper Potion, as I get fully paralyzed. Vileplume hits another critical hit Acid, which is unlucky but does activate Blaze, which causes Ember to deal more damage. I'm dead to crit, so I switch in Clefable. Clefable takes an Acid, but then launches a Mega Punch, which kills Vileplume to get us our 4th badge. Next, Giovanni gives me a little bit of a scare as he lands a crit Mega Punch on Crispy, and then I defeat my rival in the Pokemon Tower. Winning this fight allows me to get to the 3rd floor of the tower, where I can get my next encounter, Cubone. I catch her and name her Krusty. Because Cubone evolves into Marowak, I can't evolve it for this challenge, so her usefulness will be pretty limited. You know who I can evolve though? Crispy, who turns into a beautiful Charizard. The next 2 gym leaders are Koga and Sabrina, and both have a level cap of 43. So, as long as you plan for it, you can fight them in whatever order you want. I chose to fight Sabrina first. Unfortunately, I forgot to record my Sabrina fight, and by the time I realized it, it was too late. I won, but you'll just have to take my word for it. Nothing really interesting happened anyway, and I definitely didn't lose any Pokemon, so my bad. Koga is in Saffron City, which is also the location of the Safari Zone. This means I can get my next encounter, Chansey. Her name is Cheesy. Cheesy's IVs look like this, which is incredible. HP and Special Defense are Chansey's best stats, and they're both 27 IVs. You might say Cheesy is very Gouda. Anyway, I spend a lot of time EV training Cheesy, so her EVs look like this. She's excellent, that's all I can say. It's finally time for Koga, and I have a very intricate and complicated plan. 1 flamethrower kills Coughing, 2 flamethrowers kill Muck, 1 flamethrower kills Coughing, and 2 flamethrowers would kill Wheezing if Koga would just stop healing so much. Really good use of that full heal there, friend. That made all the difference, didn't it? We've got 6 badges, and now it's time to get our 6th and final Pokemon. I teach Fly to Crispy and go back to Pallet Town. The reason I decided to play on FireRed instead of Leaf Green is so that I can get a Shelder, which evolves into Cloyster. I catch her and name her Chewy. Now that I have a Surf user, I float on over to Cinnabar Island. I can evolve Chewy whenever I want to with my Water Stone, but I'm delaying the evolution until level 49 so that she learns Ice Beam. That means no Cloyster for Blaine. Chansey has a ton of HP, so I decided to make her a Toxic Staller. As the opponent dies to Toxic Poison, Chansey will switch between healing and attacking. This kills Blaine's Growlithe, and I use a similar strategy against Ponyta. Toxic Stalling isn't the most engaging content, so I've sped this part up a bit. But don't be afraid to use this strategy in your own Nuzlockes. If you have a Pokemon that knows a healing move and can learn Toxic, try it out. It's pretty effective. Eventually, Toxic Stalling kills the Ponyta, and Rapidash comes out. The plan was to Toxic Stall Rapidash as well, but after a burn, a missed Toxic, and a critical hit, Cheesy was at decently low health, and I didn't think I could use Soft Boiled again. So I switched her out and brought Creamy in. She took a Fire Blast, which did burn as well, but I had a Rost Berry ready. Then, one return knocked Rapidash out. Finally, it's Arcanine, whose Intimidate ability lowers Creamy's attack. Return isn't going to be as strong. Unless it crits. Only 1 badge to go. After the battle, I use my Water Stone on Chewy to evolve her into Cloyster. We now have our full team of C Pokemon. It's finally time for the last gym fight against Giovanni. Surf takes out Rhyhorn number 1 and Rhyhorn number 2. Expecting an Earthquake from Nidoqueen, I switch into Crispy, who can't be hit by ground moves. From there, it's 2 Flamethrowers to take out Nidoqueen, 2 Flamethrowers to take out Nidoking, and 1 Flamethrower to take out Dugtrio. That's 8 badges with 0 deaths. I trained the team up and took on the last normal rival fight, which I had no issue winning. The C Squad is now ready to take on the Elite Four. First, we have Cheesy, who has 444 HP and is a special defense tank. She's also a Toxic Staller, with Soft Boiled and Protect, plus 1 attacking move. Creamy is a physical attacker with decent all-around stats. She's got 2 physical attacks, plus Encore and Sing. Because of her modest nature, I made Chewy a special attacker with high defense. Also, her ability is Shell Armor, which means she can't get crit, which is super nice. She has Surf and Ice Beam offensively, and Protect and Rest defensively. Crispy is strong all around, but excels as a special attacker. She does only know 1 special move though, but she also knows Substitute. Krusty has a good defensive stat, but otherwise isn't going to be extremely helpful. And Crunchy is just here for moral support. The team is ready, let's do it. First up is Lorelei and her Ice Pokemon. Crispy would be great against Ice Pokemon, but most of Lorelei's Pokemon are also Water type. So my plan is to Toxic Stall as much of Lorelei's team as I can. This plan is great for about 3 seconds, until I realize that Dugong has Safeguard, which prevents status conditions. I decide to just stay in and use Thunder. Thunder only has 70% accuracy though, so I need to be careful. Cheesy is able to tank all of Dugong's hits really well though. Lorelei heals up, and Safeguard runs out of turns. I decide it's not worth it to Toxic at this point, so I continue to use Thunder. After a lot of healing and attacks from both sides, I'm finally able to knock out Dugong. I used 7 of my 10 Thunders though. Against Lorelei's Cloyster, I was able to successfully Toxic Stall, and Cloyster was knocked out by poison while Cheesy had full health. Against Slowbro, I had the same strategy. I knew Slowbro might use Yawn, and I was okay with it. Cheesy sleeping against a dying Slowbro was fine, so that I could give her a berry to deal with a later Pokemon. Slowbro dies to the toxic poison, and Lapras comes out. This is the scary Pokemon, and that's why I gave Cheesy a Person Berry instead. Lapras confuses me again, and I hit through but miss Toxic. Because of Cheesy's low defense, Body Slam is also an issue here. The fact that it paralyzes is super awful. If I get fully paralyzed and can't heal, I'm in huge danger. Luckily, I do heal through paralysis the first time I try. Lapras uses Confuse Ray, so now I have to hit through paralysis and confusion. I'm able to do it the first time, but confusion gets me on the next turn, and confusion gets me again. Things could go really bad if it happens again, so I need to switch. I knew a Body Slam was coming, so I switched in my Pokemon with the highest defense. Chewy took it no problem, and Lapras died to poison. Jinx was last, and I decided to stay in since I knew I couldn't die thanks to Shell Armor. Jinx missed her Lovely Kiss, and Surf was a 2-hit KO. Lorelei healed up, but I knocked the health back down. Jinx missed again, and I used Surf to defeat Lorelei. Admittedly, a pretty sloppy fight. Next up is Bruno and his Fighting-type Pokemon, and also Onix's for some reason. Chewy is able to 1-hit KO Onix with a Surf. Hitmonchan is out next, and I switch to Crispy. Rock Tomb is the highest damage move against Crispy, but she can always take one. Crispy outspeeds, so I decide to use Fly, which can 1-hit KO Hitmonchan. The only way Crispy can die is if Fly misses, and then Hitmonchan lands a crit Rock Tomb. That's a 1 in 320 chance if Hitmonchan even uses Rock Tomb. Those feel like decent odds to me, so I go for it, and Fly kills Hitmonchan. Next out is Machamp, who's the only one I'm really nervous about. The reason I'm nervous about this is because Machamp can kill Clefable and Chansey with Cross Chop, and Charizard with Rock Tomb. My plan to get around this was to bait the Rock Tomb on Charizard, go into Clefable, and use Encore. While Machamp was stuck using Rock Tomb, I would switch into Cloyster due to its high defense and kill with Surf. The problem is that Crispy is too healthy to always bait a Rock Tomb. Machamp could use anything here, so that plan isn't going to work. Chewy is the only Pokemon that can survive any hit thanks to Shell Armor, so I switch into her. Since Machamp just uses Scary Face, I can stay in at least one more turn. Machamp goes for a Bulk Up, as I knock its health down below half. Bulk Up is actually fine, since I still survive all attacks from Machamp, and I'm using special attacks. I tank Cross Chop, just like I calculated, and knock Machamp out with one Surf. Next is Hitmonlee, who sees a kill with Brick Break, so I switch into Crispy. Once again, I'm only dead to a Fly Miss and a Mega Kick crit, so I go for it, and the 1 in 320 doesn't happen. Last is Onix, who can't use Earthquake against Crispy. Double Edge and Iron Tail crit can't kill me, and Flamethrower with a Charcoal is a range to kill. Since it's always safe to go for it, I do. Flamethrower doesn't hit the range though. Bruno heals up as I go for it again, and this time Flamethrower does hit the range. 2 battles down, 3 to go. Third is Agatha and her Goth Pokemon. I send out Clefable first. I'm slower and expect Toxic, so I have a Pecha. Shadow Ball will usually kill Gengar, and it hits the range here. For Golbat, Crispy can 2-hit KO and take all of Golbat's hits. So I switch her in, but I had to use my 1 Person Berry against Lorelei. I try to use Flamethrower, but Crispy hits herself in confusion. And then, she does it again. I'm still not dead to crit, so I go for it again. This time, I hit through, and Flamethrower crits. My luck evened out on that one. Arbok comes out next, and Crispy 1-hit KOs and outspeeds, so that's an easy kill. Against Gengar, I'm hoping for a Shadow Ball, so I go to Clefable. Unfortunately, it goes for Hypnosis, which is really bad. I go into Cloyster, who can take a Sludge Bomb. Luckily, Gengar decides to keep going for Sludge Bombs, and 2 Surfs are able to knock it out. Last is Haunter, who's an issue because it knows Mean Look, which can trap you in battle, and Hypnosis. I go to my Pokemon who can stall and heal up, which is Chansey. Since Haunter is part Poison type, I can't use Toxic, so I have to kill it through Thunder. Thunder isn't quite a 2-hit KO though, so Agatha is able to heal up Haunter. This dance goes on for a while, and eventually I only have 3 Thunders left. I absolutely should have switched out here, but I didn't. and now Haunter uses Mean Look, so I can't escape. This is catastrophically bad. Thunder is my only damaging move, so I need both of them to hit, or else Chansey will die. I have no choice, so I just have to go for it. Thunder hits, and crits. I am so freaking lucky. That was such a careless mistake, and the game should have punished me for it. But we press on. Fourth is Lance and his dragons. Luckily, I have an Ice Beam user to help me out. Gyarados starts with a Dragon Rage, as I knock its health below half. It then goes for a Bite, which flinches me. I can still take all attacks thanks to Shell Armor, so I take a Bite and kill with Ice Beam. I'm a little concerned about Chewy's health as the only Ice Beam user on the team. Chewy is slower than Aerodactyl, but can take every hit from it. Aerodactyl goes for Ancient Power and doesn't get the boost, so Surf is able to KO it. Dragonair is up next, and according to my calcs, Chewy is barely faster. Like 1 speed point faster. I can kill Dragonair with Ice Beam, but if I'm wrong about the speed, Dragonair will certainly kill me with Outrage. I'm praying my calculation is right as I click Ice Beam and... Oh, thank God I was right. I do the same thing to Lance's second Dragonair. Finally, we have Dragonite, and frankly, we have a big problem here. Dragonite sees kills on Chewy with both Hyper Beam and Outrage. So, he'll use one of the two moves, but all of my Pokemon will die to one of the moves. So, whatever I switch into, if Dragonite uses the wrong move, they'll die. There is a solution though. Crunchy, you were the reason that we made it to the 3rd gym, and now you might be the reason we make it through the Elite Four. Your sacrifice will never be forgotten. Because Dragonite used Outrage to kill Crunchy, I can switch in Cheesy. But I make a big mistake here. By using Protect, I end Dragonite's Outrage. Instead of tanking Outrages and then Dragonite getting confused, I've now allowed it to use whatever it wants. It goes for a Wing Attack, which thankfully doesn't crit, as I land a Toxic. I Toxic Stall for 1 turn. Dragonite sees a kill with both Wing Attack and Hyper Beam. So I'm hopeful that AI selects the move that only lasts 1 turn. I switch to Crispy, and thankfully I was right. I outspeed Dragonite, but I can't guarantee a kill, and if I get crit, there's a chance that I would die. Since Dragonite has Toxic Poison, this is a perfect opportunity to use Substitute. By using Substitute, I guarantee that all of Dragonite's moves do 25% damage to me, and it slowly dies to Toxic. I'm still healthy enough, so I can do it again. After Dragonite takes another Toxic, I can all but guarantee a Flamethrower kill. So I go for it, and it works. It wasn't a perfect fight, but I certainly got myself out of a bad situation. It's time to take on the champion, my rival. Let's see if we can do this. My rival sends out Pidgeot first, so I send out my Ice Beamer. Pidgeot outspeeds, and I'm only concerned if it uses Whirlwind, which would bring out another team member. But it just goes for Aerial Ace, so I can take it out with 1 Ice Beam. Next is Rhydon, who I outspeed and kill with Surf. Thank you very much. Next is Exeggutor, who I barely outspeed, but kill with Ice Beam. Next is Alakazam, who does major damage with Psychic, so I switch into Clefable. I'm dead to a crit Psychic, but the champion is the time to play aggressively. Alakazam goes for a Reflect, which causes Shadow Ball to not kill. Side note, but Ghost-type attacks being physical makes no sense to me. I get that Ghosts are just dead normal types, but being a Ghost feels pretty special to me. Anyway, I risk crit again, which doesn't happen, and kill with Shadow Ball. Next out is Arcanine, who intimidates Clefable. So I switch to Crispy to take a Flamethrower. I use Earthquake, but the damage is minimal because Reflect is still up. Reflect only has 1 turn left, so to stall, I use Fly. But Arcanine uses Extreme Speed, so I still get hit twice. I outspeed, and now Earthquake kills. I'm risking an Extreme Speed crit, but again, last battle, so play aggressively. Finally, Blastoise comes out. Hydro Pump will kill me, so I switch into Chansey and her high special defense. Chansey's out, so I think you know what time it is. That's right, it's Toxic time. Blastoise even sets up Rain for me, because Chansey knows Thunder. which is 100% accurate in rain. This toxic stall dance goes on for a bit, as my rival continues to heal Blastoise up, and I continue to knock the health back down by retoxicking and using Thunder and keeping myself healthy with Soft Boiled. Blastoise also keeps using Rain Dance, which is very nice. Eventually, I do get a crit Thunder, which knocks out Blastoise to win this challenge. I was only able to catch 6 Pokemon, but I still beat the game with only 1 death. It may have taken me 64 Charmander resets, but I did it. This was by far the most challenging Hardcore Nuzlocke I've ever tried. It took a ton of trial and error to get it right, but I had a blast. I highly recommend trying one of these letter challenges for yourself. If you try one out for yourself, or have any thoughts on this challenge, let me know in the comments. It would also mean the world to me if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel. I've done this challenge for A, B, and C Pokemon, and my plan is to continue through the entire alphabet. I hope you join me for that adventure. This has been a quick Nuzlocke in Pokemon FireRed with only C Pokemon. Thanks for watching.